Hey, and welcome back to the channel. I just want to take a few minutes to go over another firearm that I've had for quite some time. It's a good little pistol. They're inexpensive, something you could carry. I don't carry this particular one, but you could. It's a compact or subcompact. I don't know. Those categories are kind of. I don't know. Exactly what the terms are defines one from the other, but it's this little and you've seen it before, little G2C, um, Taurus G2C. It's a good little pistol. Um, as you can see, you know, not very big. Even in my big hands, with that little pinky rest on there, I can get a good solid purchase on it. That's a little aggressive. That's one of the reasons I don't carry it, because that's a little rough. That's a little sandpaperish. And it's hard. It's not soft like the M&P, right? And it's a little thick. Not overly thick, not much difference than, say, this Glock 17, right? The Gen, old Gen 2. I'll do a video on this momentarily. But it's an old one. An OG, right? Okay, all right. Enough of that. Good little pistol. As you can see, I put one of these little ADEs on there. It works. I have no complaints. It's not expensive, right? It uses a battery and has that, wake thing, motion. So it'll go to sleep if it doesn't move. It'll go to sleep, and then once you pick it up, it comes on. It seems to work. I generally leave it off, and unless for me, this is a car gun. This is something I keep in the console. Okay. I don't carry it, like I said, and unless I think I'm going to need it, then I'll turn it on. It's got a little button right up here, got a little button right up front. You just press it momentarily, and it'll come on and stay on until it's in a resting phase, for a certain amount of time, and then it'll shut itself off. These are good. It comes with a little plate. You can buy it, and I don't see, you can see where it dovetails right into the, it's not necessarily a mounting, where it's cut. This is where the sight was, right? And what you're doing is you're putting this plate in there, dovetailing this plate in there, and then that screws in to where the sight would be, and then you're screwing this red dot down onto your plate. And it seems to work. I've also got a front. This isn't a light. This is, a light per se. It's just a laser light. This is I don't know if you can see that. It's the Votatu. Again, inexpensive, just a laser light. It does work. So you can see, I'm not going to point it directly at the camera, but it does work. Adjustable. You get these two lined up. I generally, with these little self-defense weapons, I'm, zeroing these things at about, what is that, about 3 meters, about 21 feet ish. You know what I'm saying? Because, anything further out, you're not likely to be shooting. And anything closer, it's going to be point and shoot, right? But this one, you know, like I said, it's small, right? And here you go. You got, see, it's got a little bit of, and then you see you can hear it click. It's not much. It ain't much. It doesn't travel far, right? But all that action is taking place, you know, back here towards back here, you know. Like I see, it's. But once you rack it, see, it's gonna see how far back it travels. That's probably a better, right? Right. I'm gonna hold that so you can see. Right. Here we go. And there you go. Ain't much. It's audible too. And again, it's not mushy. Yeah, it's to me, it's as good or better than a Glock trigger. Glock triggers, you know, are pretty, in my opinion, pretty shitty. But everybody just seems to get used to them, and then that kind of becomes the standard. You know, most, you know, Glock triggers, not anything brag about. That's why most people replace all these triggers and all these firearms. I just leave them the hell alone. You know, as soon as you start modifying these things, then you know, you put a good part in there, and then you weak, you know, the weakest link in the chain, you know. So the factory knows what the F they're doing. And I just leave them alone, you know. Like I said, I'll add this or add that. I'm not going in there necessarily and screwing around with the internals. I will change a barrel, as you saw in that Glock, and the spring and a guide rod and some other things, but I'm not going to be. And again, that's just my own personal thing. I'm not a freaking gunsmith. I shoot them. I don't, you know, necessarily work on them. This one, I also, like I said, is a car gun, right? For me, you could, you know, it could be, this, you know, be a good, you know, personal defense weapon for somebody. You know, so you got, you know, I think you got 3 extra in here. So you go from like 12, right? In this, right? See 12. And then I think you got 15 in this one. See, so but you see what it does. This is much longer now. See, it'd be a whole hell of a lot harder to conceal because you got all this ass hanging out over here, right? So, like I said, I just use this as a car gun, you know. I just, as an extra weapon, I keep it in the car, you know, besides the one I might, you know, have on me. And this is a 9mm. I don't particularly, not that I haven't ever carried a 9mm, but I don't carry 9mm in particular. Most of them I'm either carrying a 40 or a 45, one or the other. And that's just personal preference. There's no right or wrong. That's all on you and what you feel comfortable with and what you know, have trained with. It's all personal preference. That's why all these people telling you to do this, that, and the other, tell them jam it. You go to the range and, you know, you figure that out on your own. And then you carry what you're comfortable carrying and what you're comfortable firing. You know, what you can, you know, get a good accurate group with, you know, consistently. Whatever that is, carry it. It's no skin off of me. I don't care what you carry. That's your business. But you know, if you can, you know, carry. If you can carry safely, carry it. You know, different states have different laws. It's all, you know, again, like I said, everything is relative, pertaining, you know, to you and where you're at and your situation and conditions and, you know, local state laws and all that kind of good happy horse stuff. But, you know, I just wanted to give you an idea. You get, like I said, you know, yeah, it's loaded, but see, that's with the pinky, right? And then, of course, this one isn't loaded. And then, again, that's what it looks like with an extended mag. All right, I've rambled on enough about this particular little firearm. They're cheap. Hell, you know, if I didn't have so many, I'd go buy more. Not that I have a bunch of these. I just don't need any more firearms in particular. But this little site, this little ADC works. This, like I said, everybody's trying to sell you on all this expensive ass stuff. You don't necessarily need it. I mean, everybody's like, well, you trust your life with it. Brother, I was in the military and they hand you the sorry shit around and expect you to make it work, brother. Hey, been in the service, So, there it is. That's the Taurus G2C. My thoughts on it, right? You can look up the specs. There's lots of videos on there, and you'll see. They even make these in a 40. I'd like to have one of these, like a G2C or a G3C in a 40. Now that I might carry. It's going to be, double stack, right? But I think you get 10 rounds in that. If I ever, buy another sidearm, that's probably something I would buy. I'd buy a G2 or a G3C in a 40. Just to have a couple extra. Like I said, again, I don't know who out there is looking for a firefight. I'm certainly not. I really don't want to ever have to use the thing if I don't have to. But God forbid, that should arise. You want to finish it, right? That way, you the one telling the story. It ain't the other fella, right? All right, my friends. I hope I gave you some decent information. If not, please correct me in the comments if I've screwed anything up. I'd appreciate some correction. I'm not above correction. Okay. And I'll see you on the next one. I'll do that Glock one here shortly and show you that one, even though it's nothing fancy. It's just a Gen 2 Glock. But I appreciate your time and your patience, and I'll see you on the next one.